and today I am reviewing Irish Repertory Theatre's production of Beckett Briefs, From the Cradle to the Grave, 3 short plays by Samuel Beckett. The plays are Not I, Play, and KRAPP'S Last Tape, directed by Ciaran O'Reilly, and running through March 16th off-Broadway at the Irish Repertory Theatre at 132 West 22nd Street in New York City. What would it all mean for you to come to my Patreon page? Well, it would mean helping me with the show and my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. The latest episode on 1929's Un Chien Andalou is currently exclusively available for patrons. There are some other extras available as well, so go check it out. Thank you to all my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. A link will be in the description. Samuel Beckett's Beckett Briefs is a collection of 3 short plays that revolve around themes of life, love, or lust if you want, and death. These pieces, in typical Beckett fashion, require absolute attention and dedication by the audience member in order to have an idea as to what is going on. Thankfully, Beckett uses repetition in these pieces to help the audience along. The various characters in the scenes repeat lines and actions in case we miss it the first time. The lines may not be completely identical, but they're close enough that you can still follow along with what is happening if you happen to miss what happened the first time around and what they were saying. This is particularly important in the first piece, Not I, which features actress Sarah Street as Mouth. And that is all you get, a black stage with a narrow spotlight solely on her mouth. Think a short play that looks entirely like the mouth at the beginning of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Over the next few minutes, Street says her lines a million miles a minute in a striking Irish accent, which may make things even more difficult to comprehend what's going on. Essentially, the premise of the piece is that Mouth is a woman who is nonverbal, and after 70 years, all of a sudden is capable of speech. She rattles off dialogue of self-discovery of someone who, through some miraculous experience, now opens her mouth and discovers all the joys of speech and is incapable of stopping from the pure amazement of it all. There's nothing to critique here aside from Street's vocal performance, which I think is impressive, even though I had trouble following what she said sometimes. What makes Beckett important is his demand for audience participation, having to sit there and engage with what is being said so that you can understand what his intent is. In order for me to follow the piece, I had to adapt to the scenario by closing my eyes so I can focus on the words without paying attention to any movement around a theater. It may be a challenge to audiences, but if given the right focus, can be a fulfilling piece to experience. The second piece is titled Play, and like Not I, has a very minimalist structure. There are 3 giant urns with the 3 actors' heads visibly at the top. There's the first woman, played by Kate Forbes, a second woman, played by Sarah Street, and a man, played by Roger Dominic Casey. Another minimalist piece, the stage is dimly lit as the 3 heads tell the story of a love triangle between them. The way the piece is written, the lines cut mid-sentence from one person to the next, so thoughts intermingle like we're watching 3 different speeches, but the audio keeps switching from one person to another. I personally internalized it like I was at a mausoleum, and every time I looked from one urn to the next, the person in that urn was able to speak to me directly, while the others were muted. It's kind of like being at a museum with those video monitors. You put headphones on halfway through a clip, and you catch a snippet of a story before moving on to the next one to hear another person's perspective on the topic, then rotating through again, always getting a different part or perspective of a story. There's a bit of macabre humor in the story as they describe love, jealousy, and bitterness, all while being dead. The cast, like in Not I, aren't given much room for physicality in their action, but it's more than what Street was offered. I mean, we actually get a whole face here. The dialogue is constant, and like Not I, you have to pay attention to everything said. The third piece, KRAPP'S Last Tape, is thankfully significantly slower than the other 2 pieces, which is a bit of a relief. The piece features F. Murray Abraham as Krapp, who steadily gets drunk as he reviews his life through reel-to-reel tapes, reflecting on the pretensions of his youth. It's the one piece that really offers the opportunity to observe an actor actually use the stage to his full advantage that can be acted and reacted to. So it feels a bit more naturalistic than the previous 2 pieces. Still, the theme of repetition remains as we watch Krapp listen to portions of his recordings over and over, dwelling on the past with an obsessive yearning for understanding. There's also a repeated process of eating bananas, which is kind of fascinating and kind of lends to the routine of his life at this point. There is little spoken by Abraham compared to the dialogue of the other two pieces, but we get the full breadth of life and feeling and character through his silence. It's understated, but meticulous in detail, and I think it's beautifully acted. Beckett Briefs is only 75 minutes, but wow, it's a fast 75 minutes. O'Reilly has somehow made all three pieces, as complex as they may be in their dialogue, never feel overwhelming or dull or confusing enough that you'd lose interest, making the piece boring. It demands attention, and if you are willing to take the journey in this challenging piece of theater, you open yourself to an experience that will definitely be unique and maybe fulfilling along the way. If all this feels too bizarre, I understand if it's not your thing, but I've always found Beckett a challenge that I love to take a journey on as an audience member, and I love seeing Beckett theater done in a daring way. But I'm only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Beckett Briefs, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon page, my Spotify page, as well as my social media pages where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the new Best Role Play, Liberation, currently off-Broadway. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.